Okay, now I've started recording. Uh, alrighty. So, um, oh, I think I don't have a shell for this. Let me open up a shell.
Oh, web
Uh, Roz. Alrighty. So
started.
I have this project, and I don't know exactly, like, given this set of files, I don't know what to do to actually run it, or how to find out how to run it. So like even if I read what's in these files, it doesn't to me translate into okay, that then I need to run something on the command line.
So
Um, I
the
think we
final executable that you have there,
yeah
the ROS there, that sample web app with no extension, that executable is what you need to run.
okay. So I can just do dot slash sample web
Web app,
app.
and that should work.
Does is that how do I get well let's oh is it it doesn't output anything until I actually hit it up with a
Yeah,
browser?
exactly.
Okay. Okay, so then let me go to the README, and maybe I already have that. Yeah, I do. Um, oh, and then to build it is here. So I guess I just didn't read the README, my own README. Uh, that's funny. Okay, well, here it is. Here's all the information. Um, so last week, all I needed to do was open that up. Um, when
Right.
would I hear I don't know how much of this. Oh my goodness. Keyboard. What is going on? Why okay, there we go. Okay. Uh Handler. I'm trying to find where I started last week. Um so I did go back through and I knew that I needed that this part wasn't done yet, defining the start and the stop.
Right.
And I ended up defining the start and the stop. Let's go look at what I defined them as, and you can tell me whether or not it's actually correct. Source web server. So here's what they look like. Nope. Main?
It's in main. Yeah.
Okay. Here's what they look like. So this in
So
package, that's a way of saying the current namespace, right?
right.
Okay. And then for starting, I do this sample web app dot or colon web server. So where is web server? I don't actually see is uh okay, so maybe it's not the same thing as switching a namespace. Uh
In package is basically the current package, the current namespace that you're in. It's the equivalent of um, if you're trying to expose something though, you see that export there on line 3 and the web server there, that exposes a symbol, but it exposes it in a where you have to actually prefix it with the package name. So in order to
Gotcha.
access star web server, you have to say sample web app dot server colon star web server.
Okay, so and you probably already told me this, but okay, so I'm gonna export the name web server and web server and app are defined here, and that makes it so that and this is in webserver.lisp, so that makes it so that in main.lisp I can grab those things.
That's right.
Okay, and I say that I'm gonna use the stuff from that other file by saying this, or wait, no, I don't. Uh, what does this line do?
What does in package do? In package basically switches the package from CL user to sample web app. So everything defined under in package is defined in the sample web app package.
Uh,
Okay, so let me rewind a little bit. Let's think about this in terms of like Python modules, all right, like files, all right. In Python, what happens when you are defining a file? You're defining a effectively a module, right? In order to access those functions in that module, you have to actually go and import that module into your other Python files, correct?
mm-hmm.
So, in the same idea, before modules existed, where in this practice of a single file as a single module was accepted in modern languages, Oberon actually and Modula had it originally. There was this idea that you can actually have multiple files represent the same module. Okay, so you could split up um, implementations across multiple files, but the connection of them together means it's the same namespace. Okay. In order to
Okay.
do that,
So, yeah.
we have things called list packages. Okay, that's defined by UI op define package, or if you're using vanilla common Lisp, it's a def package. All right, and to define all the symbols within that package, you have to say, oh, we are in the package. You have to explicitly tell the script that you are in the package itself,
Yeah.
right? And the way to
Yeah.
do that is within package.
So my hesitation wasn't about like what are modules. I've seen that same thing in like Racket.
Yeah. Hmm.
Uh, my I'm not exactly sure what my hesitation was. It was like I felt like I was expecting, like I was in the middle of a sentence and then but you stopped talking, so then the sentence was done. So I maybe missed a word or something. I don't know.
Okay.
Um, uh, yeah. Um, okay. So then this yeah, let's relate this to Python. Um, saying this then is that like opening a file in Python? I think there's actually a way to switch which module you are working with and like reach into other modules and add things to them and stuff. But let's pretend that there isn't. Even if there is, I'm not exactly sure how to do it. Um, so this right here is like when you open a file in Python, right? You're
Correct.
just if we opened the file samplewebapp.py, then everything that comes after this, everything after you open the file samplewebapp.py is in the module samplewebapp.py. So then everything after this line, if we define something, that's in this module.
Yeah.
Yes? Okay, cool.
Yes. You define it, you def parameter, def var, any definitions is defined under the sample web app when you
Sure.
use a in package declaration.
Anything that anything that goes into the either of the two namespaces in a Lisp 2. The function namespace and the variable namespace.
Hmm.
Um, okay, cool. So then, and then in Python, there isn't really something like this. Racket does, and I think it has the exact same name, except for no, it definitely doesn't start with a colon. Um, but anyway, oh yeah, it's like provide. I think it's provide. Um, but the idea here in Python, everything. Maybe I'll just make a note. In Python, everything is exported. Every variable
Is exported. There's no private.
binding is
There's no
exported.
private
Yeah.
declarations in
Um,
Python.
And then in Common Lisp, you have to explicitly say which things you're exporting and which things you're not.
Right.
Um, so if you don't export something, oh, we could also say, we could relate this to Java. If you had like a private keyword on something, is that analogous to not exporting?
Technically, yes and no.
Okay. What?
There's a reason why I say yes and no, and I need to kind of show this to you, but for some reason, sample web app, my REPL, when I load up my project,
It's not working.
keeps no, it's not that it's not working. It's that it keeps starting hunch and toot, even though I didn't define anything that starts it. So I'm wondering what's going on.
Hmm.
This is kind of weird. I'm not explicitly calling sample web app anywhere. That's kind of why I'm kind of wondering what the hell is going on here.
Stale binary.
Um,
Do you need to recompile?
you know what? Just to be on the safe side, let me do this. I'm gonna do one more thing. I'm gonna restart this one more time. Unfortunately, I haven't figured out yet how to restart the REPL in a live without closing the window. At some point, I'm gonna have to figure that out.
Bummer.
Yeah, it's kind of sucks, but okay. Hold on. Let me delete my REPL history because I don't give a crap about my REPL history right now.
Weird flex, but
Um,
okay.
huh?
Weird flex, but okay.
Yeah. Well, I don't need my REPL history at the moment, so it doesn't really make much sense. Um,
Oh, while you are doing that, the people who the Emacs people got back to me about the other bug, and I just recently had some time to actually look into the second bug that I filed close to around 1.5 years ago. Um, and I found out how to actually run the tests that I wrote. At least I think this is how to run the tests that I wrote. Well, this is the output of running the tests that I wrote a year and a half ago, running them the correct way. And let's see if I can easily show this. Feel free to cut in when you're done doing whatever.
yeah,
Uh,
no problem.
okay, yeah, so right here you can see all of this stuff is the same. And then the part where it differs is somewhere here. Yeah. Okay, so here, uh, the upper line, line 24, it wraps around. But right here, right where the highlighting stops, there's a difference between line 24 and line 25. The difference is backslash 15 backslash n. That's CRLF. That uh, the code that is currently in Emacs does this, and the code should do this. And so that's the bug report that I made. Um, so uh, yeah, well on my way to getting it back up and running so that I can respond to their most recent thing in a more in a better way than just saying, "Wow, this was a year and a half ago. I don't remember. Let me get back to you when I have more time." Well, I have more time, so yeah. Um,
Yeah, I
are
figured
you
out what the
are you good
problem
now?
is.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
we're good. Now, the problem was the fact that I I was starting clack, and I didn't realize it. So we're good. It's just me
Gotcha.
being dumb. Um,
What a noob, this
yeah,
guy.
this happens sometimes when I
Starting
forget
clack.
when I run away from a project. I don't remember what what I've done sometimes. So
Hey,
okay,
that's
so
exactly what I was just saying. uh,
what? Yeah,
yeah, I was talking about I mean, running away from the bug report a year and a half ago. I made their bug report, and then only just now, and I don't remember. um, yeah, so relatable.
yeah. This this
Um,
this 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 kind of works. Oh,
oh schnapps.
oh schnapps. That's right. Because of the fact that I didn't put this in a BT thread, I've just effectively killed my REPL. Okay, hold on one second. Gotta kill
Kill
that
the window
rebel.
again.
Oh, I don't need to. Hopefully, I don't need to kill the window. Well, yeah, I probably do have to kill the window because I forgot to put this in in a Bordeaux thread. That's fine. I'll do that. At least now I know what the problem is. It's me being stupid rather than it's a. At some point, I need to figure out why I can't actually what's it? Let me actually comment this guy out for a period of time. I don't need to define this yet. And let me load my common Lisp map. We're good. Okay, then let's just do this and do that. Okay, and let's also stop the web server because I don't need it anymore. And let's also do this because at some point I need Bordeaux anyway. Bordeaux make thread. Um, uh, instead of that, let's just throw this guy since I don't need this anymore. Let me actually get this kind of working. Yeah, let me just do this because I don't need this to be locked anymore. I don't think. Um, okay, just comment this guy out, and let's put this here. So I'm just making some quick corrections here. What I'm doing is Bordeaux threads will allow me to actually go in and um, pass in a lambda. Oh yeah, I have to pass in the lambda here. Make thread lambda. There we go. And then what this is gonna do is call hunt and toot. Move that over here.
So
Done.
you know how with Common Lisp you tend to development is slightly different because you tend to like have a running image that you modify.
Yeah.
So you like update the functions and the definitions of variables and stuff. Do you know of anything that like visualizes the current namespace and all the namespaces and the I guess the whole image, like what processes there are
So
being
this is
managed
kind
by
of
the
what
image?
the Alive environment is giving you, but also even in Swank, you have facilities to do that in your Emacs environment.
Oh, okay, cool.
It'll
I'll
give
look
you
into that
like
then.
list of packages. You can actually figure out. You can actually unintern packages in real time, so you could get rid of a package from the memory,
Cool, cool.
which gives you the ability to do that. The one thing that I'm actually impressed with in terms of Alive is for some of the more common as-diff systems that are available. I'm a little disappointed that it didn't provide the search facility, but it's a work in progress. I could always add the extension
Boo.
for this.
Boo.
Basically, you should be able to search Quick Lisp. But right now, from the looks of it, I think there's a predefined set of packages that Alive queries and it
Ah,
keeps
gotcha.
track of. And I think this is part of the text file that's loaded into your QuickLisp distribution, which is why configuring this with QuickLisp is very nice, because then you should be able to just um, download it automatically if you want to search and add it into your system. So you don't have to really do much in terms of going online. But
Gotcha.
those are additional add-ons that you really need to kind of add. You don't really need to put in there if you need it, if you because they're nice to have, so to speak. Okay, so let me just check this to make sure I've actually fixed my start my hunch and toot thing. Okay, so now this is running in a thread. So this is running, and now if I just do curl 8003 slash what was the damn URL that I created? Oh, slash yo. There we go. And if I add yo name equals Bob. Hey Bob. All right, nice. And if I go in more importantly, do sample web app ht stop web server, should be able to just stop it. Boom. Mother. Sorry, sorry, folks who don't appreciate, the occasional swear that happens when you get something right. But
So, just to like really make it
okay.
clear,
So let's get back to the private thing.
okay.
So,
I typed out some commentary here and an
yeah, yeah, no, you
example.
got you. This is why I wanted to talk to you about this. So,
Okay, and it's different somehow.
okay, so folks who haven't and for folks who are interested in a more detailed discussion on this, I will point out that the Common Lisp Study Group has gone through this in a little bit detail
Oh, okay.
when we got covered packages in the past. But to review, packages come in, as you mentioned, exported symbols and non-exported symbols. Okay. Exported symbols are defined in the package as you showed earlier. The hash colon means that they're uninterned. That means you have to actually prefix them into your package. Okay. This is different from use package, which is kind of in the Python notation. That's the equivalent of doing from module import star. Okay, so it'll import all the symbols into your package. Okay.
Okay,
Um,
so I'll write that out just to be super clear. So in file file let's do b.py,
right.
define um, if we did like
From
c
a
equals
import
1,
star.
and then in file c.py we did import, or yeah,
From b import
b,
star.
from b import a, or star, or sorry, not a,
I think it's
c.
import star, isn't it? To
Well,
to
you
import all
can
the
do
symbols.
import star, or you could do import just one thing.
Yeah.
So like
But the
this one
import
binding.
star means use package. What I was talking about is use package, and
Yeah.
use package is import star. Okay.
Oh, I see.
So
Okay.
equivalent in CL in Common Lisp, say equivalent is in CL. It's the same as saying open
Use.
parentheses use package colon C. Sorry, colon B. Okay,
Okay.
that's the same. So those
Gotcha.
two are equivalent. Okay.
And
So
then what did
now
we actually do in here? We used.
we don't use any.
Oh, we don't.
I try. It's very bad practice to do that, but I'm just mentioning all the packages thing just for a quick review.
Sure.
The reason why I bring
Okay.
this up is when you do use package that way, you're going to get private symbols as well as public symbols. All right. As far as I know.
Oh, I see.
But if you're not doing that and you're just in package, all right, and you're just doing export, you prefix every exported symbol with the package name to get the exported symbols. All right. But for the non-exported symbols, the notation is instead of a single colon, you can use a double colon. So if you do package name colon non-intern symbol, all right. So in this case, you have def var a, and def var a isn't exported by sample web app. If you want to access a, you can do sample web app a
I
to
see.
access that variable. Now, this is important because these are all symbols that are running in an image, right? Because you talked about image-based development. The
Yeah.
reason why it's bad practice to get implementation non-intern symbols, so that means stuff that hasn't been exported, is because there's a reason why the author did not export them. They did not, publicize that, hey, we've defined this variable, right? So a lot of Common Lisp people say those variables are used at your own risk.
Yeah,
They
that
might
makes
be
sense.
deleted tomorrow.
Right. You're not expected to have to use this variable anyway.
You shouldn't be using this variable anyway, but you did so. We're not going to stop you, but we're not going to promise it's not going to be it's going to be available till, the end of time, until the library is done. And that's an important distinction to realize, okay? The
Mm-hmm.
reason why I say that's very different than in Java, Java private is enforced at compile time.
Uh, you can use reflection in Java to
You
access.
can, but they don't. I'm talking about without using metaprogramming, without using reflection.
Sure.
If you're just talking about language semantics, you the private access modifier is enforced at compile time without using reflection. All right.
Sure.
Now,
I
if you
bring that up because a friend of mine is a teacher and was teaching the kids that this is a security thing, the use of the term private or the modifier private. And I was like, whoa, no. You can very definitely access things that are marked as private when
correct,
you're using a
but that's why
outside
I don't
class.
talk about reflection. Reflection is a very advanced topic.
Okay.
Until because when we talk about reflection,
Well,
right,
well,
everything is available, right? If you really
yeah.
want to be honest with yourself, right? It's
So
it
I just want to like make it clear that like if your reason for marking something as private is because you think that increases the security, that's just false. That's not a
that's
good
that's
reason.
that's that's bogus. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
absolutely right. This is more of at it's more of a discipline. You're kind of preventing people from accessing particular information at compile time when you're doing application development. All right.
Right. Kind of
Because
like
remember, reflection is normally used for tooling. It's very rarely used for um, higher level application development, right? You're using it to create a transformation from one source representation to another representation, right? So it's
I
actually
mean, yeah, you could
a
use it for
means to
that.
an end. I've never
I
heard of an application use case where you're using reflection for something that needs to be done at runtime.
um sure. Uh I guess now that we're talking about this, I'm thinking maybe a better analogy would be something like an employee who gets some task done, and instead of telling you like first I did this, then I did this, then I did this, they just tell you that thing you asked me to do, it's done now.
Right.
It's
Exactly.
more like that. That's what private means. Like that the private is the stuff that you don't care that the employee then took a 5 minute break and then had this for lunch
Right.
and
That's why it's called information hiding, right?
yeah, yeah,
You're hiding the how, and you're kind of enforcing the what you needed to do, right?
yeah.
Um,
And I
I
guess
will, but
if you take this analogy a little further, the reflection would be micromanaging. You
right.
can do it, but it's usually not the right thing to do.
You're being fully transparent when you're using reflection,
Yeah.
to the point where they know when you took a bathroom break and came back and continued to work. Now, I wanted to complete this analogy though with the double colon because
Okay.
technically
Oh yeah.
there is an exact equivalent in another language, and that is dunder methods in Python.
Oh
You could
okay.
make dunder variables and still access dunder variables if you wanted to. It's just bad practice to access dunder variables.
Yeah. Because in Common Lisp, you just it's just a little bit more. It's not like super hard to get the other variable, the non-exported
Yeah,
variables, the non-interned variables.
yeah. The non-intern variable is the common terminology for it. Yeah,
Okay. Dunders are closer to non-interned, aka not listed in the exports. Oh no, that is not what I wanted. Ah,
What did it do?
non interned. So I asked it to reflow, but it reflowed all of this stuff, even though this stuff really should be on separate lines. I wonder
And
if I
by the
can
way,
do
line 17, you're missing a D in kinda.
line 17. So I am. Um, ah,
That's been bothering me since I was like,
okay. Non interned, aka symbol not in export list.
yeah.
All right, I'm gonna save, and now I'm gonna try reflow. It still doesn't do it. Okay. Um. All right. Well, I wonder how. Like sometimes when there's something like this at the beginning, hitting reflow like remembers that and doesn't wrap a line like that, and
Right.
sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't. And I'm not
So
exactly sure when.
this I think is important to understand just because basically like Python,
Yeah.
all the dunder stuff, unless it's part of the Python object model, which is the exception, all right? And I think even if you make meta classes too, there's also an exception there for dunder methods and dunder variables. Dunder, anything defined with double underscore that's user defined is stuff that you use at your own risk if you try to access it directly. Usually they don't
Yeah.
want you to. That's the
Okay.
reason why they made it double underscore in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's a very important distinction to understand. The exceptions, of course, is the overrides when you're doing stuff with the Python object model, because those
Oh,
methods that you're
right.
defining is actually to integrate with the Python object model with the rest
Like
of Python.
has item and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
like get item, set
Next,
item,
add.
next, previous, um,
Cool.
add, subtract. If you're trying to make essentially operator overloaded classes to use the operators, you have to add the do the English dunder methods for add, subtract, and so forth, and you'll be able to do that too as well.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, those kinds of things. Those are well-defined practices. If you want to integrate your Python classes into the rest of Python, you should define those and override them. But in general, if some author of a library decided to use double underscore, they usually mean do not touch it.
Yeah.
And that's a very for folks who have this bad habit of doing it, don't.
Yeah.
Just don't. Stop. Stop
Uh,
now. This is your
stop.
public service announcement.
Stop it. Get some help.
Stop and get some help. Exactly.
Um,
Okay.
thanks, Michael Jordan.
Now,
Okay. So then,
I
do
think in
do
general, though,
these
your
look all
code
right?
is correct. The only
Okay.
thing that I would say it matched, and in fact, you did the right thing for Hunch and Tooth Stop. That's kind of what I was going to go with
Oh
today.
yeah. So
And
these
that's correct.
were given to me by uh
Claude.
Claude.
Nice. Okay. That's kind of what I figured. I had to go into the documentation to remember that, but yes, that is correct. The only thing I would say is and I'm gonna just copy this into the chat window is convert your HT start server to look like this. Copy or RU chat paste. Ah, dang it.
I
Stupid. I think you
wonder.
know what those two
Yeah.
emojis mean.
Probably. All right. So you do HT start web server.
So that's a
Hunch and Toot
colon
colon.
S,
Uh.
not colon S. Yeah.
Okay.
And that's also colon star. There
Cool.
you go. Done. And
Uh.
now you need to get rid of, it looks like you need to get rid of the extra parentheses there. Yeah. Then everything is kind of golden. By the way, you should be able to just do in Emacs. If you're using Emacs key bindings and not Spacemacs key bindings, I think it's what's it? Uh, Control
To
meta Q to actually do automatic Lisp indentation for you. Or if you do, I think if you're using
containing.
evil mode, I think you use equal and percent sign at the top level of the defun, and it'll also do the same thing.
So I just did control meta q, and it's saying that some expression ends prematurely.
Go to do percent.
Maybe I need to be
Do
down
you have
here.
space? Do you have evil mode turn on?
Ah, I needed to be down here. It mattered where the cursor was, I guess.
Yeah, that is correct.
I don't know why. Oh, let me. Evil
Because
mode.
I know sometimes you use Spacemacs and sometimes you don't, so I just wanted to kind of.
I'm using Spacemacs, but I switched to evil evil escape mode. There we go.
What's
Nope.
the difference?
Uh, let me see. Nope, it's still not doing it. Evil escape. Evil escape mode. Evil escape. There we go. Okay, now I'm back. Okay. Um, I don't know. So evil mode, evil escape mode. Maybe evil mode is insert mode, and evil escape mode is what is called normal mode.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
normal mode. But I thought evil mode by default turned on evil escape, but I guess not. So go
I
to
don't
line
know.
44. I'm just going to show you something.
Okay.
If you go to line 44 and you just do equal and percent,
All
you
right.
should
Hold
do
on a
the
sec.
same
Okay. Equal
percent,
percent.
and that
Cool.
indents the regions too. All right, so it's
Yeah.
the same. It's the same thing. All right.
That's awesome. I used to do. I would put my cursor here and then do v percent
Yeah, I know.
equal.
You don't need to do that. Equal percent
I
will
did
do
not know
the
that.
same thing. Yeah, especially when you're doing a lot of Lisp code, this is going to save you a lot of time. You could just write a bunch of crap, go to the top level to equal percent, and boom, it just automatically. You don't have to change your flow.
Oh.
Which is nice.
Uh. Yeah. Actually, so a lot of times I have set up format on save.
Okay,
So
that's also good. That's
yeah.
also another way of doing things. All right. So for folks who haven't actually touched Bordeaux threads, very quickly, Bordeaux threads allows you to create threads on a Lambda function, okay, an anonymous function, okay. This is a cross-platform that is a cross-Lisp distribution threading library. Each Lisp distribution has their own implementation of native operating system threads. Bordeaux threads abstracts that shit out, so you do not need to touch the underlying Lisp distributions threading library to do this stuff. You just need to pass a Lambda function. It'll take care of that for you. It includes all of the thread variables that we all love. Anybody who's done multi-threaded programming, if you're looking for conditional variables or semaphores or mutexes and stuff, it's all there in the Bordeaux library. We've talked about it in the past in the Common Lisp study group. I'm only briefly mentioning it to it because we may be touching base on it as we go through our project, um, which we have 15 minutes to start defining. um, okay.
Common Lisp study group is here. When
Yes.
is the next
Uh,
one?
Monday, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m.
8 p.m.
To 10 p.m. Sorry,
Central?
Eastern time,
Eastern.
5 p.m. Pacific. Eastern, 5
Uh,
p.m. Pacific.
5 p.m. Pacific and
7 p.m. Central. 5 p.m.
sure,
Pacific,
7
6
p.m.
p.m.
Central.
Mountain, 7 p.m.
Um,
Central.
what is and it's for 1 or 2 hours? Two
It's for 2 hours.
duration. Duration 2 hours.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so, please join us. We are covering paradigms of artificial intelligence programming. we're actually going through issues of Lisp efficiency. We're starting Lisp efficiency issues now to make more efficient Lisp programs. Um, and hope to see you guys there. In the last 15 minutes, I think you and I should start talking about the web app that we want to actually design with this services model, because I think we're at a point where we can now start talking about um, what it is that we want to write out. So there's a couple of things that we could do. I'm guessing you had a class project that you may want to
Yeah,
rewrite in Common Lisp. Um,
I have a few different things that like I we could do in Common Lisp. One of them is uh, a fitness tracking app or like
nice.
a fitness helping app.
Okay.
The way that I currently exercise is I bring up a YouTube video on my phone and then I just like follow along and in real time in the video. Um, and it seems like so that means that I have to find a video that does exactly like I can only do whatever exercise is like exactly whatever video I find. And it would be cool to have a website that like makes all the same sound cues at the certain times for the different things and then excuse me could also display like here's what you're supposed to be doing. It doesn't need to display a video. It could even just like display an image that shows like up, down, and then it goes like maybe the sounds are beep, boop, or something like that. Um, and then I would be able to use that to design different exercises. And like maybe I could. Well, anyway. So that's like one thing to do. Another thing that I wanted is to recreate a login. So my understanding of how to do a login was uh, my like the stuff that they taught us. The more I delved into it, the more I found out that it was out of date. And even when it was current, what they showed us was definitely not standard practice. It was like bizarrely wrong. Um,
So when you
so
start talking about logins,
yeah,
has and we should actually really discuss login as a concept first, before we start talking about the kind of best practice.
okay.
Typically,
So
when you start out with the web applications, the
yeah,
typical login everybody knows is username, password,
uh huh,
probably hashed with some salt, all right, on the client side, throws
yeah,
up, gets peppered, and then use that hash to actually do a quick lookup. Okay.
yeah.
You
Oh, I
want that
guess
two-level randomness to actually make it somewhat secure. All right.
I should say like really the thing that I looked into that I realized that what they showed us was just wrong was session persistence. So
Right. And I
over
think, and that's what
yeah.
I was going to get at.
Oh,
Usually,
okay.
when the login is successful, you get a cookie of some sort that you might persist,
Yeah.
the session cookie. That's the old way of doing things. Another approach is you have the OAuth approach, which is you use an external login provider. Um, that will return you a token, a JWT token of some sort, that you could then reach out to that provider to see what you are authorized and not authorized for.
Good.
Um, and if you're authorized to be able to use this application, it will complete the login process and then return you I think, I believe, a the equivalent of a session cookie, but it's different. It's a different format for JWT
Okay.
to
Yeah, so
actually.
what they showed us initially was using CSRF tokens
Right.
and uh the more I looked into it, the more it seemed like CSRF is out of date now, not because and like browsers have um in addition to cookies, they now have a thing called local store, which is basically cookies but like
Yeah, they have the local
keeping
storage. That's right.
keeping security in mind. So
Hmm.
one very important difference is with cookies. I was surprised to find this out. If I'm running some JavaScript from any website in my browser, and the JavaScript that I run makes a request to, for example, bank.com, like my bank, it sends the cookies stored in my browser with that request.
That's right.
Meaning, if I'm logged in and the fact that I'm logged in is stored in a cookie, it'll send that cookie with the request. Amazing.
That's right. Yeah,
Amazing.
our web browsers aren't sandboxed. We do
um,
not have proper sandboxed browser tabs. They're not. That's
and
kind of one of the reasons why Google's Chrome's approach was innovative at the time that it was created, in that their way to fix this was make each browser tab into its own separate isolated process, so it cannot touch necessarily what's in memory. All right. But then you have the problem that if you saved the persistent token onto the file system, I think all the processes have the same access permissions onto the file system, right? So
um,
I don't
yeah,
know.
I
Yeah, there's
my
all
my
sorts
under
of problems there.
yeah. Anyway, so my after looking into it a bit, it seemed to me I found out about JWT, and I found out like that it uses uh it they tell you not to store the JWT token in a cookie for that reason.
Right.
Um, and also, yeah, so JWT tokens seem to be the way to go. Uh, so yeah, it would be cool to figure that out and like
So let's do it.
do an
We
implementation
could
of
write
that.
a not in the next 8 minutes, but let's create a basic login page next time
Okay.
in Spinneret, so we could get the basic stuff in, and then we could start looking into how to hook JWT to our application. We don't need styling at this point. It's not like we need to talk about CSS or anything like that. This is just a
Yeah,
basic
it would be
login
cool though
with the proper security stuff.
to is there something in Java, or sorry, Java, Common Lisp, that I can write Common Lisp code that turns into CSS?
I believe so. The Spinneret library is something that I was looking into, that I think has a library has code that goes from S expressions to
Wow, Spinneret.
yeah.
So is it like a really old library? It makes me think of like back when we used to think of the web and then like spiders crawling the web and having spinnerets.
Well, I'm guessing the author thought of that when he wrote it, but that's not what I think. The reason why I suggested Spinneret versus like CL Who and some of these other HTML generators is mainly because it's HTML5 compatible.
Ah, okay.
So it tries to make sure that it tries
Do
to
the
stay
do the
within.
other ones do XHTML?
Yeah, they're older. They haven't been updated recently to handle
Man,
HTML5.
the whole XHTML versus HTML5 thing, like the more I look into it, the more I'm like, God damn it. Like it looks to me as though HTML5, like the whole point of it is that it wasn't made by the people who made XHTML. Like it's
Probably.
purely a political thing. Like a not like a Republicans versus Democrats political, but uh the different organizations in charge of like who's in charge of the internet
Well, the
exactly.
thing is with XHTML made it difficult to do custom elements, which is part of the larger Web Components Initiative, is my understanding. So HTML5 basically allowed them to try to fix that essentially.
Um
So
if you have like concrete details, I'd like to look into that. I've heard something that
that's kind of
sounds
what
like
I'm
that,
my understanding. I don't
and
remember.
okay,
Yeah.
and when I looked into it, it seemed like it didn't seem to hold water. But I don't know if it's exactly the same thing. I also uh, okay, so we can I'm gonna turn my attention back to this as best I can for the last minute or so. So I don't actually see here what the response is. It must be in the other file. Okay, so here's where we actually why what
What are you trying to do?
I'm trying to use so my cursor is orange, which means I should be in escape mode, but it was acting as if I was in insert mode. Um,
I think
so
what's
right
happening
here
is that yeah.
is where we would actually generate HTML as a string and return it, right? Uh, so like, yeah, is that
Yes,
correct?
that is
Okay,
correct, but there's a little bit more to it in that there's a macro already that handles a lot of that for you.
okay,
You don't need to write the format nil anymore. There's
sure.
a macro that will touch a lot of that for you, is my understanding. So,
So, but okay, so and then here's the spot where you would do that. Actually, now that I'm looking at
yes.
this, um, what if I? Well, okay, yeah, okay. So that's good. So that's where we'll pick up.
Yeah, we'll
Um,
pick up, and then
and
I
then
will show you in the meantime libraries that does CSS generation, so we don't have to worry about that
so this
stuff.
BT thing, I don't know that I said anything about BT. Yeah, the
BT is
first time
Bordeaux
it shows
threads.
up here,
We talked about Bordeaux threads, but it's been so. Just to
but
give
the
most one
do it.
final piece of advice for some folks, and we'll touch base on this next time, which is
Uh,
Bordeaux threads is an implicit dependency. It's
oh,
not explicit. When we created Hunchintude, and actually more importantly,
ah,
Clack actually pulls in Bordeaux threads. So it's already part of our Lisp image. But if you want to specify it in the ASD, it's always good to specify explicit dependencies.
yeah, I would think so. Cause like, what if in the future,
Yeah.
Hunch and Toot
So
decides to move to something else?
yeah. So you could certainly do that. It's
Ah,
called Bordeaux. Where the hell is it?
would it go here?
It's yeah, yeah.
Is it
B
Bordeaux
O
like that?
R DEAUX dash
Nailed it.
threads.
Oh,
Yes.
dash threads.
Yeah, you have to put the dash threads. That's an important piece of the puzzle, man.
Cool.
without without the threads,
um,
there's no way, no way.
and then how does it get the name BT? Do I have to?
BT is the shorthand that the package defined.
Ah,
It's a
so the
nickname that the
package
package
defines it.
already defined it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'll show you next time how to write nicknames for your packages because that's actually now there's enough Lisps that actually support it that I think most people should start nicknaming their big ass libraries just so that it's easier for
I.
folks to actually touch base.
How are conflicts resolved?
That's a
Like, what if?
big larger topic for next time. Okay,
Yeah.
we're gonna
Okay.
table that. Write that in the comments. Next time we're gonna talk about name conflicts. All right.
Alrighty. Whoop. Oh my god. So I'm really not sure what I did, but every time I go to a different buffer, it's in
It just doesn't
insert
like you,
mode.
man.
Yeah.
Your Emacs does
Questions for
not like
next
you.
time. Um, how are naming conflicts for packages resolved? 5 minutes in the ring. Last person standing gets to decide. That's probably what happens, right?
Yes.
Nailed it. Um, what? There we
Well,
go.
yes
Okay.
and no. I'm gonna leave that to you. All right. I'll, I will, I
Okay.
will, I will, I will, I'll leave it as a mystery until next week. and then I'll talk about name conflicts just because name conflicts itself is a huge nonsense, right? That I have a rant about personally. Um,
Oh my
but that's
gosh.
yeah,
This
it's my
is extremely okay. Well, that's a great place to leave. um every buffer,
frustrations.
even when I open up a maggot buffer or a magit.
Magit. That's what I or Magit is what I call it. Magit. It's Magit.
Anyway, every buffer, even one of those buffers is in escape mode or in an insert mode and not escape mode.
Yeah.
Okay, so I now know that I should check my own README because I already wrote notes in it about the thing that I wanted to do. And yeah, all right. See you next week. Bye.
Bye bye.